watching more Star Trek.
It's
Alice.
Cadet Alice and Dr. Trek, and we are back. What are we talking about today, Cadet Alice? What is
Prodigy.
Prodigy. Yes. This is our third episode, and we're going to talk about Prodigy episodes. Two. We're going to talk about two of them.
Yeah.
It's depending on how you count it. It's either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 5 and 6 half hours. The pilot 2 hours, 1 hour was called one only, so it's 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're doing episodes 4 and 5 today.
Yeah.
Right? So what did you think?
It was good.
It was good. Well, now come on. It was a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
So we started off. Where did we start? We started with Gwen's shuttle had crashed, and the boys were about to lose the runaway little vehicle, but they were all about to. They felt like they were going to get eaten by the murder planet, right? The vines were everywhere.
Yeah. Jenkins actually named it the murder planet.
He did. Right. And they all decided that worked. So, but everybody was still trying to do their own thing. Is that some real? What do you have in there? Who is that on the backside? Come on. You know who that is. Isn't that Janeway?
Janeway.
Yeah. And what does Janeway have in that mug?
Coffee.
Okay. Now, really, so what was going on? So the kids were in two places.
Wait, can I tell them something?
Sure.
Now Gwen and Dak both got along.
They did. Dal? Yes, they got along. Well, it's been kind of a bumpy road. Sometimes they make a little progress and they don't, because they keep doing things not to trust. Because in the beginning, she forgot she told her dad where they were, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just about the time they were starting to trust each other, what happened? He showed up, right? And his evil robot guy. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So back then, Janeway, the hologram robot, was trying to figure out how to get the ship away. And she even figured out what to do, right? She shut the door and it clipped off the vines. Remember?
Yeah, she was acting like Hollow Janeway would.
Mm-hmm. Or like the real Janeway would do. So what happened? So everybody got aboard, but they were mad at Gwen because her dad showed up and they knew she told him. But what did
she was trying to sacrifice herself to save them.
She did, which I think made an impression. They were a little mad at her, but then they couldn't argue with the fact that she was going to sacrifice. But what was the really sad part of that first story?
Her dad did not save her.
Yeah. She kept saying you had to choose me or the ship. And he chose
the ship.
Yeah.
You look, you're supposed to choose your daughter because, who wants to kill their daughter?
Right. Thank you. Who wants to kill their daughter? That was
not
really,
me.
That was really. I remember when that happened. You looked at me. Do you remember?
Mm-hmm.
You were in shock. Yeah, because no one could imagine leaving you behind anywhere.
No.
Yeah. What's that dress you had? What were you telling me you wore this dress?
Because I thought the stars represent I thought the hearts represent the star.
Oh, hearts are representing stars. Okay.
Besides, they're both yellow. I mean, they're both white.
They're both white. Right. There's white stars. Okay. Well, Miss Orbit, let's do that. So that was a sad. I remember you looked at me. You were in shock that anybody would do that. Yeah. So what? Yeah. Not you. No. So what happened? They got on board. Everybody got back together, barely. Right?
Even Dak started like pulling down himself with rope to save Gwen.
Just about the time you thought they were going to take off without her, here he came down on a rope.
Whee!
Did you feel better about that? They were going to leave her behind?
Whee! I'm rolling off rope.
It's kind of like he's the White Knight coming together. And then you start to say, maybe they're going to get along after all. You think? After they rescue each other? right? So then what happened? They thought they got away. Yay, we escaped. And you thought that her dad, the diviner, her evil dad and his evil henchman robot, you thought, okay, well, the planet's going to get them. But then what happened? They got back in their ship and they turned around and the kids turned around on the protostar and oh my gosh, what was happening? They were in their warp tunnel and here came the diviner's ship. Right?
Yeah, but Gwen and just said, "Computer, do something," and then
They turned on they figured out about the protostar engine.
Yeah, and blast out.
But what happened? He said that her dad came on the view screen and said, "Please, I will do whatever you want to do." Right?
Yeah.
And what happened by then? She was like, I can't trust you. He said, "Do the right thing."
And she's like, "Yes, I know what to do the right thing." And then she did something that her dad didn't want. Wait, why are my eyebrows red?
Oh, you're fine. It's just the color on the screen.
Okay.
Yeah. But no, what happened? He said, "Do the right thing." And she said, "Okay, I will." But the right thing was what? The right thing for her new crew, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, not for her dad. And he was kind of in shock.
Yeah.
So that's where so they got away at the first story today in Terra Firma. So they break away, and then we watched the second show, number 5, Kobayashi, which is kind of a funny word, isn't it?
Kobayashi, yeah.
Have you ever heard that word before? It's kind of a weird word, isn't it? It's a little Japanese. Yeah. What do you mean? No, as in no, I hadn't heard it. Huh? Now, I know this episode, you haven't seen a lot of Star Trek, have you? Prodigy is the first time you've watched Star Trek, right? So we were... Hi. Hey, girly. Hey, listen. No, seriously. This story, were you confused about a little bit of the story? Like, who are all those people? When he started to play the game? That's a yes?
Yeah.
No, seriously. Come on. You were talking. You were being... he was going to play the game. Now listen, I had to kind of explain some of this to you, right? Right? Because I knew you wouldn't know, like you didn't know who Spock was, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's okay. That's okay. You know what? Prodigy, remember this show?
Yeah.
Prodigy? That's made for kids like you. And a lot of kids like you don't know who those famous officers were. I kind of told you a little bit. But that wasn't the important thing. The important thing was what? Dal was going to play this game, and once again, he thought, oh, I got this, right? What happened?
He lost.
He lost. How many times?
99 times.
Almost 99 times, yeah. 99 times. But why did he keep playing it over and over again?
He wanted to win.
He wanted to win. And he thought, oh, come on, I can win this. I'll just keep learning, right? And Jacqueline was like, why don't you give it up?
But why doesn't he want to give it up?
Because he knows this is the test to show if he thought, and what Janeway told him before he cut her off, this is the test to show if you're a good starship captain. So he thought, if I don't pass this test, then I won't be a good captain and my whole crew will know it. And he kept failing. But what did he not know? He finally learned at the end that what? It's not a game you can win. It's just to show what would you do.
Yeah, it's just to show that. But he didn't know that you can have help.
Mm-hmm. But he also knew that sometimes the game is not a win-lose. It's what did you do? There's an old saying called,
It's just it's just to learn. It's not like that important game that I have to win. It's not like a race.
Yes, it's not like a race.
You can always try over and over again, and you keep learning from your mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't judge Don't judge your crew. So whoever's watching this, don't judge people around you.
Okay. Yes. Well, sometimes you have to help them get better too.
Yeah, so if someone's like judging you, you can just say, no judging. This is not a race. You can say that. Or you can just ignore it. Just,
Okay.
hey. No. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really into this.
I'm not really into this. But in this
Bye.
case, if people are taking the Kobayashi Maru test, it means they want to be a good captain, right? Right. So they're going to learn. But he didn't know all that. He at the very end, he finally found out that there wasn't a win. There's an old phrase outside of Star Trek that's called it's not whether you win or lose, it's how you play the game. And it's meant to talk about good sportsmanship, right? And playing by the rules. But in this case, it's also about what are the choices you make and how have you learned to do other things? Because he did, didn't he? He finally learned a great strategy, didn't he? He said, I'm going to use chaos. And he did. And then what did he do? He put his boot up on the console and accidentally hit the warp button.
Yep.
And shot his own ship. But meanwhile, what was happening? You know what? So what did I do? I told you someday I would show you Star Treks that had Spock and Uhura and Odo and Scotty and Dr. Crusher, right? Someday we'll watch the real Star Treks with those people. But it was cool to see them in this show. But he was in the holodeck for hours and hours and hours playing Kobayashi. What was going on the rest of the ship?
They were doing their own thing.
They were doing their own thing. Well, they found out there was some secret files, right?
Yeah.
And Janeway didn't even, because there's a lot of mysteries in Prodigy, right?
Yeah.
Right? Like, how did that ship get inside a planet? And what happened? We saw a flashback. We saw 17 years ago her dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was he doing? He was dying. He was hurt then, and he was looking for the ship way back then. And what'd he do? It's kind of weird.
He made his daughter.
Yeah, he made a clone that was his daughter in those tanks, and his evil robot henchman guy helped him do it. And even back then, he said she's going to slow us down, and he said, "No, I've got to have someone to keep searching." Well, that was weird. So we find out that Gwen was his daughter, but like there was never a mother around. He had a daughter without a mother, which is kind of weird, right? That kind of blow your mind? Were you confused?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's science fiction.
But some people only have one parent. Some people only have a mom. Some people only have a dad. Some people even live with their grandma.
Yep, that's very true. That's very true. So it explains some things, but there's still a lot we don't know, right?
Yeah. There's how many more videos are we going to make on these?
Well, it's a whole show, so there'll be plenty more adventures, but there's still these mysteries. Like, how did the ship get inside a planet, right?
Yeah, I mean, don't you have to figure out how to land, press the land button, beep, blah, 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 beep, blah, 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 beep.
Okay, we watched 2 shows today. What was your favorite part?
My favorite part is when Gwen and Dak finally understood each other.
When they were looking up at the stars? Mm-hmm.
And when he tried to rescue Gwen, I was like, wait, you forgot Gwen. And he's like, wow.
He came down there like Robin Hood or like Han Solo or something on that line. Was that pretty awesome?
Yeah. Here, cop inside my Janeway. I got her in my Janeway.
You got her in your Janeway? Okay. Your Janeway mug, anyway. So who was your favorite character? Did you have a favorite character? Everybody had a moment, right?
Yeah. I like Dax because he finally learned that that's okay to have help.
You think he's finally learned?
Yeah.
I think he played the Kobayashi Maru 99 times. Yeah. There you go. You need to get it on camera. There we go. So, what are you still wondering about? What's the biggest question for you still?
Yeah. The biggest question is how did he put particles inside the container?
Particles inside the container.
I mean McWin.
Hmm?
I mean McWin.
Oh, okay. I don't know. You know what else we didn't say? How it took Gwen was the one who was able to get to the secret files because they were in her language. You remember?
Because he speaks that language.
Mm-hmm. But no one else, because it wasn't a Federation language and it wasn't in the translator, it wasn't in the Universal Translator.
No.
And she and her father are the last of their people.
Yeah.
So she's the only one that could have translated the language, which was still weird. Why was a non-Federation language in the computer base? And Hollow Janeway had been blocked from it. Yeah. Now, and the biggest mystery of all so far is, I know you don't know him, but that guy at the end that we saw the Hollow program, Chakotay, did you see he had a tattoo on his face?
Yeah.
I know you're sitting there going, who's that guy, right? Well, he was Janeway knew who he was, didn't she? Yeah. Janeway knows who Chakotay is, and we're going to find out more about that. But there's all kinds of mysteries still going on.
Like, what's the ending? But we're going to see that in the last video we make, okay? So, stay tuned, enjoy watching this, and I hope you enjoy this.
I hope so too.
Prodigy!
Okay.
Bye!
We will see you next time.
Bye!
Trek well, everybody.